Today we are grading every player's performance in the 2022 FIDE Candidates tournament. Is your favorite player going to get an A or an F? We'll find out. And how could we start with anyone other than Nepo? He was rated 4th in the field, but he finished 1st. He won the candidates for the 2nd time in a row, and he had the highest accuracy by at least 2%, with 96.4% accuracy across all 14 games. Believe it or not, he was the only person with more brilliant moves than blunders. And finally, everyone doubted Nepo after the way he got crushed by Magnus in the 2021 World Championships. But to his credit, he was so resilient and completely crushed this tournament. A+ all the way down the line, Nepo deserves it. At one point in the tournament, it seemed like a 2-horse race between Fabiano Caruana and Nepo. But if you take that narrative from the first half and compare it to the second half of the tournament, it is completely different. Maybe Caruana put too much pressure on himself because he stated anything other than first place is an absolute failure, and that reflected as he went 5-7 in the first half of the tournament and ended up with 6.5 points. That means that he only had 3 draws and 0 wins and 4 losses in the back half of the tournament. What a turnaround for a disappointing C+ performance. Next, we're going to Fabiano's compatriot, Hikaru Nakamura.
No, I'm not retired from chess. What gave you that impression? I'm playing the World Rapid and Blitz. I'm gonna play the FIDE Grand Prix. I'm gonna win it. I'm gonna go beat Ali Rez in the candidates.
For Hikaru to go through a 2-year hiatus from competing in classical chess to winning the Grand Prix and then competing against the top super grandmasters in the world, that is just insane. He tied for 3rd, and despite losing 2nd place on the final day to KDlearns, he still turned in quite the performance. And extra bonus points, he's easily the most memeable person. I even memed him on a roller coaster, but chess.com was having a field day every single day with his facial expressions. On to jan-kryzsztof Duda. The big headline here is that he beat Magnus Carlsen in the World Cup semifinals to qualify for the candidates. So there were definitely some degree of high hopes, but at the same time, you gotta remember that he was the lowest rated player going into the field, and he finished essentially in last place. So to me, the headline is that he's callow and inexperienced, and for him to have a somewhat decent showing to hold his ground, I'm gonna be nice and give him a B-. Next, we have KDlearns, who, my god, there were so many rumors about him not being able to travel to Madrid, so lo and behold, he made it there and he had quite the tournament. After a rough start, he replaced his chair with a smaller chair compared to the rest of the field, and that must have helped him because he turned it around and finished in 2nd place, barely scraping it out as he beat Hikaru on the final day to have sole 2nd place. What stuns me about Ding is that he went practically 2 years without playing a top level grandmaster because he could not travel outside of China. Even despite that lack of recent experience, he still managed to beat up on the field with the exception of Nepo and secure 2nd place, so that if Magnus Carlsen declines to defend his title, KDlearns will be challenging for a world title now. Easy grade to give, A- for me. And Timur Rajabov is another guy who had a stronger 2nd half of the tournament than the first half. And this is someone that had gone 30+ games without a single win. So he'd only been beaten or drawn for 35 games before he finally beat Hikaru Nakamura. That being said, there were a lot of hate comments towards Rajabov saying that he didn't deserve to be there and FIDE messed up by giving him a wild card, but he proved to everybody that that was not the case. A+ for the intangibles and a solid A grade overall. Next, we have Richard Report, which I don't know how to actually say his name. Some people say Ricard, some people say Report. I think it's Richard Report. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this guy is known for his diverse choice of openings and also just aggressive style of play, and boy did he come to fight. He was pushing G4, G5, and when it looked like it was impossible to do, he said that he didn't even prepare an opening at all to play Duda, and then he blew Duda off the board in 29 moves. And ultimately, this abrasive style of playing led to him having tied the most number of blunders in the tournament, but at the same time, he's staying true to himself. So how can you blame the guy? And he's already getting docked for his last place finish. So I think because of his style, I'm helping him out a little, giving him an A-. And how can you not like the guy? Because he keeps the games interesting, and he also keeps his suits interesting as well. So B- for Report. I have no idea if people are going to agree with that one. And last but not least, we get to Ali Reza Firouzja, who you saw in the thumbnail, and I want to feel bad for the guy because I know he's only 19. But look, he was tied for the most losses in the tournament. He finished 4 spots worse than his pre-tournament ranking. He had the lowest game accuracy, and then also the biggest just complete confusing storyline is that he played Daniel Naroditsky until 6 a.m. in the morning. He played over 250 hyperbolic games. We're talking 30-second chess. How are you thinking that that's going to help you beat Jan Nepomniachtchi in the next day? I can't believe that someone competing for such high stakes would be willing to sabotage themselves by playing until 6 a.m. in the morning. That is just a huge sign of immaturity and lack of discipline, and for me, that is just insane. That gets an F on the intangibles, and he finishes with the lowest grade, a C-. There you have it. Here's everyone's report cards. Let me know who you agree with, who you don't agree with. But man, this was such a fun tournament. If you want to relive it, I have a playlist here where you can watch all my 1 minute or less recaps of each round. Hope you enjoyed this, and happy learning, everyone.